Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of the Running Mech, a Lancer battle report series where I put players against NPC. Now, you already know what's going to happen if you watched the first episode, but first, let me introduce the player archetypes. So, currently, there's 4 archetypes, each representing the most common players type out there. Northstar is the melee frenzy player that will always get right in front of someone's face, and usually, is also the party's tank. Casper is the opposite that prefer to have a gun or 2 or 3 and keep their distance if possible. Gremlin is the trickster, enjoying the acts of annoying the hell out of the enemy with either hacking or worse. Chrono just does whatever the hell they want because they never decided on anything, but they usually sit in a supporting role, either direct support, or fire support. Also, in this episode, I will also be using macros made by Interpoint Station, which to be frank, make playing Lancer so much easier and decrease the number of mistakes I made by more than 90%. You can check out their Twitter and Patreon page for more details, links in the description. Anyway, let's get this week's Running Mech match started. And here we go with the scenario. This is going to be a basic defense scenario with enemies coming out of this 25 by 25 map, much smaller than the previous one. All the rubbles here and there provide soft cover only and doesn't really block line of sight. Anyone who paid attention to the player's builds will also notice something weird. That's because I'm going to just try out pure license build for now, which involved me shoving as much stuff from the same license in the build as possible, because if I want to experiment with builds I might as well go with the very basic. Oh right, this is also first part of this mission, so there's going to be continuation in the next episode. Anyway, let's begin round 1, which will first be taken by Chrono, who immediately fired the displacer with crackshot to boost accuracy. Bastion, unable to raise its shield up in time, was yeeted out of reality, while the breacher behind it was scorched. The missile afterward was just an insult. Chrono then charged up a stasis bolt, ready to block any incoming attack. The fresh breacher from the other side moved in, charged and rammed right through the pile of rubbles, but Casper just dodged out of the way with its high agility. It then tried to shoot them, missing both shots, typical of breacher really. Northstar rushed downward, grappled the breacher from range with its straight, and peppered it with bristle crown. Not a very good place for the breacher to be in. Breacher 2 moved in, threw a thermite grenade that not only lit both Chrono and Northstar on fire, but also destroyed all the cover around them. And here's the first mistake of the match. Chrono did pass the save for the grenade, but that didn't negate the burn completely. The breacher then charged in, Chrono rolled out of the way too, and it ended up right next to Northstar. Gremlin moved down, invaded Bastion with a very basic fragment signal despite literally everything in its arsenal, and then immobilized it with its core passive, preventing it from being able to defend its allies. You are going to see this very often. Bastion, unable to move, just raised up its shield and fired a grenade at Casper, which did nothing because Casper can seem to dodge everything even without invisibility. It then threw a lock-on at Casper just cause. Casper decided to get close, seeing that Northstar is right between the 2 breachers, which make their railgun useless. With Hunter talent, they can dash in without getting reaction fire and slash at the breacher. Both hits missed. They then fired the heavy machine gun, which somehow hit despite everything. It was only after all this I realized that I could just throw the knives at the breacher without moving and it would work better. Round 1 ended and round 2 began with the reinforcement rushing in from the side walls. 4 Ravager squads moved in, surprising the players. First turn went to Northstar, who with 2 enemies right next to, went nut. Or would be if Casper wasn't right next to it. So it just did a very boring barrage which slashed the crap out of both breachers, leaving one at 1 health because executioner talent is the best shit ever. Also failed the engineering check to clear the burn, taking damage. One breacher immediately disengaged and ran the fuck out. Chrono took a breather and just stabilized to cool down and reload its weapons. The remaining breacher threw its thermite charge, which set Northstar, Chrono, and Casper on fire and further turned the destroyed rubble into tinier pieces of destroyed rubble. I also reread the description for thermite charge and added 1 burn and damage back to Chrono, so that's 1 mistake gone. The breacher then tried to fire its shotgun, which did nothing even after consuming lock-on Casper, again, and tried to run away. This is another mistake, because Northstar has grappled the breacher which prevented them from doing this, but on the other hand, I can see this as Northstar letting the breacher go intentionally to slash them apart with an overwatch. Casper started off their turn with a flash grenade, which prevented everyone partially within the enormous effect range to fire outside. This will force the Bastion and the squad to move because while they can't fire back, that did not apply to those outside. Casper then skirmished with its railgun, but practically all the damage got blocked thanks to Bastion's armor, system, and reaction. The shot however, did knock Bastion back thanks to Jaeger rounds from walking armory, but not knocking them prone. I then forgot railgun cause heat, so that's a mistake. Casper also failed to get rid of the burn. Bastion then moved up around the flash zone and stabilized to reload and cool down. Gremlin, with all of its system unable to work against biological target, just shot at a squad with its Nexus. That didn't work so well. I also forgot to apply accuracy bonus from Gunslinger talent here, but that shot hit anyway so that kinda didn't matter. Gremlin then invaded the Bastion with viral logic to make it cook itself every time it moved. The Ravager squads all moved in, firing at the players with the accuracy of a stormtrooper, but Gremlin was rather badly damaged from infantry fire. One anti-armor beam shot at Chrono was deflected by the stasis bolt, depleting it. Round 2 ended, and round 3 began with the final reinforcement to show up, 2 veteran Ravager Hornets, and yes, I know what that said, that's a spelling error, don't count that. Northstar took the first turn to move up and face the Hornet, as well as stabilizing to repair their armor and purge the burn. However, that proved to be a mistake because one veteran Hornet just flew down and jammed them with its system, heating them up, then heated them up again with the Hex missile, putting them right on the edge. But, Gremlin quickly brought the Hornet down with basic invade, core passive to immobilize it, overcharge, then used another invade with Metafold Carver to pull it right next to Northstar. The fall damage from this was just a bonus. Bastion raised up its shield, moved left which heated it up fully thanks to previous tech action done by Gremlin, fired a grenade which hit Gremlin, and then boosted left again. As soon as it's their turn, Chrono quickly fired the displacer at the Hornet and the squad right next to them, which automatically missed because thanks to Gremlin, the Hornet was now in range to use its reaction and disrupt their targeting system. The missile did hit, thankfully, and Chrono quickly overcharged to stabilize, because being that hot this close to a Hornet can't be good. Veteran Hornet 2 moved in, tried to jam Gremlin but failed, then tried to shoot Gremlin but also failed. Casper invaded Bastion, overheating it which made it exposed, but they couldn't take advantage of it now because the infantry were the actual danger. After moving down, Casper fired the railgun, tearing through the infantry. With an overcharge, Casper fired their heavy machine gun back at Bastion but missed. I also finally remember that railgun cause heat. After everyone's turn, the infantry kept on firing like a stormtrooper on everyone except Gremlin, causing the first structure in this mission and proving that some dudes with guns are not to be underestimated in this RPG. Round 3 ended, and round 4 began. Gremlin quickly took the first turn to step back away from the Hornet to prevent further shenanigans, and then invaded it with basic option, because when the target was already unable to move while 99% of your kits are all about making the target unable to move, they are kinda not very useful at the moment. This caused the Hornet to overheat, and start a reactor meltdown. Then they fired their Nexus at Bastion, which did goddamn nothing because it's Bastion even with exposed status. The Hornet's pilot took the next turn to eject right before the mech detonated. The resultant thermonuclear wave vaporized the Ravager squad right besides it and gently caressed Northstar, who then decided to back up to stabilize, cool down all the heat, and then overcharged to slash at the infantry, causing big damage with Executioner. Veteran Hornet 2 moved down too, ignoring Gremlin to jam Chrono instead, and then launched Hex Missile which cooked up both Chrono and Northstar, which should just be renamed as Hack Missile. Casper moved down, lined up its rail rifle at both the infantry squads and fired, missing both of them. They probably didn't even need to move at all because there's a clear line of fire right down here. They then used Hunter 1 to dash back at Bastion as part of the barrage to throw their shock daggers at Bastion. It was at this point I realized I made an error, a major tactical error, because Casper is about to cook themselves alive and it just gained 3 heat. Thankfully this only got them impaired. The Bastion pilot, panicked at the fact that it's about to burn down, also ejected and the mech promptly failed its engineering check and died. Chrono, with too much heat in their system, tried to punch the infantry with improvised attack, that missed entirely. Some of the infantry ran away, some stayed and kept firing. Gremlin took significant damage from the squads again. Round 4 ended, and round 5 began with Gremlin taking the first turn again to run away from the infantry and invade the remaining Hornet with basic option, then immobilized it with their core passive. Then they shot their Nexus somehow without overcharging, triggering Senti Main 1 from the crit, but that's worthless after the invade. The Hornet then crashed onto the ground at the end of the turn, structuring it, and impairing it. The Hornet then fired its Hex missile which hit North Star, overheating them which caused them to be exposed, then fired its other weapon which missed. North Star, frankly tired of this shit, grappled Hornet and fired the Bristle Crown at them, which both missed. The top squad moved in, shot at Gremlin, causing another structure damage, which destroyed their one and only weapon mount. Someone finally moved to protect Gremlin, and it's Casper, who tried to shoot at the infantry with its rail rifle but missed, then they slashed at them with their knives, which cut them up badly. The other remaining squad fired at Chrono and North Star, which Chrono had to brace against to reduce the damage, but I think I misread Napoleon's trait or something here because Chrono should have only taken 1 damage. Chrono, tired of this shit too, just fucking fired the displacer at the squad, which crit, and warped them from reality. The missile is just an insult at this point. This also caused them to overheat, and this caused them to get impaired. Round 5 ended, and round 6 began. North Star has gone nut. The first hit was a chain sword. Hornet tried to disrupt their targeting system, that didn't work and it freaking crit, dealing even more bonus damage thanks to Sekomet. On the first hit alone the Hornet was already dead, but North Star kept going with their nanocarbon sword. It didn't crit, but it's still a big hit. As Sekomet gives a free melee attack each round, North Star swung the nanocarbon sword again, this time it crit beyond all results, giving more bonus damage and triggering executioner talent. The total damage dealt by North Star onto the Hornet was 29, more than enough to structure it 3 times over and then some. The remaining infantry squad just surrendered on the spot. The battle has finally ended. So, let's analyze every participant in this battle. First, on the player side, I'm torn between North Star and Gremlin on who actually carried the fight. North Star dealt an amazing amount of damage on multiple enemies as well as tanked attack from multiple enemies too, while Gremlin outright shut down any plan the NPC tried to do by just immobilizing and cooking them up, especially the Hornets that relied on their mobility a lot. Also, I completely forgot about the custom paint job they have, which would have been somewhat useful, but honestly maybe I should stop putting it in if I kept forgetting. Casper and Chrono on the other hand, they did still fight and took some hits rather well, but they didn't really take part on their roles either because I'm still trying to figure them out. Chrono didn't really defend their allies because they are too focused on trying to shoot everything with that massive cannon, but they did one-shot an extremely tough enemy. While Casper should have used their invisibility and gears to tank and negate damage but didn't, and Gremlin ended up taking a ton of damage. I also made some tactical mistakes with them which caused them to overheat, not by enemies' action, but me. On the NPC side, the Hornet and the squad caused the most damage and disruption to the party. The constant jamming, damage block, and heat from the Hornet basically forced some of the players to constantly stabilize just to not get cooked alive, and reduce their action economy, while the squad, with sheer number and toughness, managed to wear down the players with continuous fire and even managed to structure Gremlin twice almost on their own. Meanwhile, the Breacher did damn near fuck all. They really need some accuracy boost from allies to hit anything at all, and one of them managed to disappear from the battle completely after nearly kicking the bucket. I guess hide action does work against Game Master after all. The Bastion, however, actually did good even after one of them died immediately. Bastion can't do a lot of damage, but as long as the player kept focusing on them while the actual damage dealers were around, it already did its job, and this one did its job quite well. Anyway, here's the damage sustained by the players. Just about every one of them took structure or reactor damage, and overall their repair capacity supply are significantly depleted. I would say that they could last one more battle and that's it. Good thing that's how far I planned with this scenario. Once again, big shout out to Interpoint Station for the Roll20 macros which makes this battle play rather smoothly. Links to their Patreon in the description for more details. Anyway, with that done, I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell button. If you really want to support my channel, you could visit my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.